Welcome to another episode of the SFL podcast, featuring Mighty, owner of the Alaska Storm, and we have James Richards on the call with us, coach of the St. Louis Gladiators.
Woo.
Andy's on vacay, catching crabs. At least last I saw. So we're gonna have to forge ahead without Andy. Andy, have a good time. Hopefully, you didn't prep too hard because you have to face us tomorrow. And we'll catch up with you next week. But in the meantime, James, how you doing tonight?
I am doing
Today,
well. I'm doing pretty well. I'm not sure if our stream's online. I'm checking it out, and it doesn't say we've gone live, though. I might be wrong.
Do we have no audio? That'd be awful.
Oh, maybe we do. It just says the stream's offline, but we'll roll with it.
We're good. No, we're good. I just turned on for a split second. We got audio. I heard your sultry voice. We're good to go. Okay. We had a wild week too. Some teams were able to assert themselves and show us who they are. Some other teams came back to the middle of the pack. Some teams are still trying to find themselves, which is fine and dandy because it's a long season ahead of us. So, without further ado, James, how you want to do it? You want to tag the power rankings first? You want to go do a quick recap on last week's games?
Yeah, let's just go week 2, game by game. Then we can talk about the power rankings, and we can talk about what we think is going to happen for week 3.
Okay, well, without further ado, okay, that was interesting. Without further ado, let's start breaking down some do a quick recap on some games. And the first matchup that we're going to do for last week, we have the Atlanta Swarm taking on Cleveland at home. Atlanta was at home, and they put up a 60 burger on Cleveland. They beat them 62-31. I believe they had a 38-point quarter.
Yeah, it was a 38-10 at halftime. So a little bit rough. And then, just defensively, Atlanta was all over the field. They picked off McWavy 5 times. And then finally in the fourth quarter against the second string, McWavy and the Stallions got it together. But, moving forward, you'd have to hope that, whatever they're doing in Cleveland, they can kind of right the ship and be more consistent.
Yeah, I'm kind of screenshot right now. A little recap, breakdown of that game. Cleveland looked good early. It looked like it was going to be a contest, and then Atlanta just opened the floodgates and just went about terrorizing Cleveland with that. I believe it was 38 unanswered. So some bunkers like that. I don't wish that on anybody.
I don't think Mac, being a rookie coach, I don't think he anticipated BDG going like bonkers because, we normally don't see BDG rack up a ton of rushing yards. Normally he does his work through the air. But over 165 yards and 2 rushing touchdowns. It was insane.
The next game we're going to break down involves your team, James.
Yeah.
it was the Chicago squad, the 2-0, Shan led, Deion Hawkins forging ahead. I'll say this before I say the final score. You looked a lot better this week. It looks like you're starting to get, your bearings under you. The final score was 44-20, where Chicago edged St. Louis last week. And it looked like you're starting to understand what is necessary for your team to be competitive, both offensively and defensively. Now, mind you, there are some miscues on defense that we communicated about. I think a couple of days back, and I'm sure you're going to address those where those things won't happen again. And offensively, you're finally getting your tight end involved. Your tight end was doing big things this week.
Yeah, both Murr and Swaim were over 100 yards. Let me say something though, like. Week 1 was terrible because I had no experience and I just had a bunch of garbage plays. So that, okay, so we got smashed. I mean, Queen City looked great too, so that's not an easy matchup to open up week one. So then, week one changes are kind of like a wash because you need you get 20 ad drops a week. And so this week against Atlanta, I think we've only got 2 or 3 plays on each side of the ball that we're not happy about that we're going to have taken out by next week. But I think we feel pretty good moving forward. We're getting a little more consistent. Alexander, I thought, had a pretty good game. He did throw 3 picks. I thought 2 of them were not his fault because they bounced off the generic receiver's hands. Murr got going, but yeah, it was a lot. E.T. King was on fire. He was 15 and 20 for over 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. He only turned the ball over once. And then Deion Hawkins obviously, kept on building what Queen City did well, which is run the ball down our throats. So I think this week, we've adjusted. We should be a lot better. We should be able to utilize the defense a lot more. But yeah, it was just a rough week. But Chicago's great. They're a good team.
Yeah, I can understand why you say rough, but in watching that game, it looked leaps and bounds better than week one. And I have no doubt that you'll make more improvements this week to be even more competitive. And hey, who knows if you prepared well enough and the other team, you catch them napping, you get that first dub. I'm just saying it's possible. That's why we play the games. The games aren't played on the screen. Well, they kind of are played on the screen.
I hope we don't catch anybody napping. Like I hope we just figure it out and we're performing a lot better. But at this point, a win's a win and we'll take it. So if we can get one, hopefully this week will be the week. But first 3 games starting out strong. Really tough teams the first 3 games. I mean, I was looking at the East and Western Conference, and I was kind of doing a matchup like Carolina in the 6th place spot. Like they look really good. They're 0-2, but they look really good. And then it's just so our conference. I don't think it's necessarily stronger than the Western Conference, but it's definitely a really strong conference. And it was just a rough first couple weeks for us, but we'll see. Everybody's got to play each other, so that's how it goes.
I got you. The next game we're going to break down is the game that involved my team, where the Sioux Falls Sparrows came into Alaska to give Alaska their first ever home loss to the tune of 38-27, where my quarterback decided to go colorblind for a game and just throw it to the opposite team over and over and over and over. It got
Your
so
color
bad.
Makes me want to throw interceptions sometimes. That highlighter blue.
It's the best. It's distinct.
Yeah.
Let me say something. It got so bad that even at work, because a bunch of our coworkers or players on the team, whether generic or star guys, and they were getting on him this week. So they're like, dude, you gonna throw another pick? Like right now? Are you done? You gonna fix this? It's terrible. So, but all credits to Sioux Falls. They put together a great game plan to take away some things that we thought that we might be able to take advantage of, and they made us pay greatly and dearly. And they were the better team that day. So hopefully we learn something from it. And it stinks that it's that first home loss, but it was kind of a blessing in disguise, because trying to win every home game and doing everything, trying to make sure you get all your P's and Q's taken care of, cross the T's, dot the I's, and it gets a little daunting. So I'm kind of glad I got that first L out the way, the first home L in team history, and then now we can take it easy and you know what I'm saying, just take our lumps as they come. So that's that there. I'm just Odom was Odom. They were able to slow him down enough. He didn't have a long game. But, Odom, really what I want to ask of him is to matriculate the ball down the field, convert the third downs, keep us on time. And he did that game. And it's just our quarterback lost his mind. So hopefully we prep this current week. We got to face the Legion at the Legion's first home game. Hopefully, he'll be calm, and the plays we put in will give us a chance to compete and maybe get out of there with a W.
Yeah.
Here's hoping for the best.
In fairness, anytime your quarterback throws 7 picks, you're probably not going to win that game, just for the record.
This is the funny part. After 6 interceptions, we're on the goal line with 50 seconds left with a chance to win.
You didn't give
that's
it
what's
to
bananas about that game. That seventh one broke our back. But I'm saying 6 in, we had a chance to win. That was crazy. So
yeah.
the next game we're gonna go in there is the game that was strange. It was interesting. The both star running backs go down, and it was like, okay, who's gonna step up and do some big things? We're talking about the 2-0 Oklahoma City Renegades beating the Vancouver Legion 31-7. I'm gonna pull up the box score now. Brewski went down early. I believe it was late.
Two carries for Brewski.
And then Yvonne's like, "Hold up, Brewski, I'm coming to sideline with you." And then he got out the game too.
Yeah.
So the battle of the non-star running backs.
Well, at least they got 10 carries out of Sanchez. At least, you know. So if Murr went down with 2 carries, I mean, you're probably looking at like a point record that's going to happen against us. Like we're probably looking at like the 70, 80 point scored range if we lost Murr after 2 carries.
So in a battle of quarterbacks now, because without star backs, the quarterbacks have to basically carry the squads. Red Feather came out and balled out. Man, he threw for 300 yards.
Yeah.
Only had 3 incompletions. He looked good.
He was only sacked once too, so that means like pressure. There wasn't a lot of pressure getting to him.
Yeah, he looked darn good last week. I tried to get Papa Irvine on the call with us today. He never got back to me because I want to, kind of get him on there asking how it feels to be 2-0, and the reasoning behind the build he went with, because he went with a 2 tight end, 1 receiver build on offense. And coming in, it was questionable because we had seen a similar build before, and it kind of went sideways for he attempted to have a similar build as this one. So OKC looks good so far this season.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Both of the teams that are running a 2 tight end setup, both Chicago and Oklahoma City. I think Chicago is flexing one of their guys. Oklahoma City is actually running 2 tight ends. But what I noticed as I was watching film on both of these teams is, they're going to go in a lot of 2 tight end sets, and both of those guys are balling out. They've probably got route god on. They've probably got breakaway speed. So these guys aren't just your average tight ends. Like, they're full-fledged receivers who can block. And so both of these teams run the ball extremely well, but then, they get you packed in tight in the box, and then they just kill you with the tight ends. And so that's what I've noticed breaking down these games, and I think that's going to be a trend. So it'll be interesting to see how teams prepare for the 2 tight end look, because it's looking pretty scary.
Yeah, but this the thing. The way he built it is that you got Hamby outside. If you get nosy trying to stop the tight end and trying to stop old man Brewski, Hamby, like I believe he's averaging something like 16 yards a catch.
Yeah.
So
last week he had 127 yards and a touchdown. Insane.
That's a big play waiting to happen. And then Tiberius does this season. Papa Irvine got the secret sauce because Tiberius is balling. So
but look at Chicago. They're doing the same thing in Chicago. It is literally the same formula. Both of them run very similar offenses, and they're both having a lot of success. So it's going to be tough to stop, and it's going to be interesting to see, if Oklahoma City can keep this going forward, or if people will, figure it out. But it's looking good, looking really good.
Yeah, yes, it is. And we'll get into the week 3 matchups, and the ones we like are looking forward to look at later on. But that OKC, like I said, they're looking darn good. So props to Papa Irvine and doing his thing down there in OKC. The next matchup we're going to look at is that first overtime game of season 9.
It was intense.
Mexico City Aztecs.
It was intense.
The San Antonio Vaqueros. Is it Vaqueros or Vaqueros?
I think it's Vaqueros or Vaqueros or
it's
Vaqueros.
Vaqueros.
I think. Yeah.
Vaqueros it is.
I think you rolled it right.
This one, I gave it a rewatch and a 3-watch. Because first I'm playing Mexico City next week, so I had to prep for them a little bit, and then at the same time I want to see how the scoring happened here, and it was nothing but big plays left and right. If it wasn't Orbdad, Ray Bentley coming through, putting his helmet in somebody's chest and then stomping on their face mask on their way to the end zone, it was Jason German. We wheeling and dealing, little spin move action, little broken ankle here, broken ankle there, and gone for 60. So
Yeah.
it was this game was all about big plays. As the game wore on, it looked like the defenses started calming down and taking away all the big plays and forcing both teams to have to matriculate the ball down the field to kind of get scores. And Mexico City took that opening kickoff in overtime and just marched down.
Yeah.
And
When a
and just
team turns the ball over, San Antonio had a great game. 400 yards of offense, 1 turnover. Like that's a really solid game. Like I think San Antonio will take that every day of the week, every week. Like if they can get these same production numbers, you know, that's amazing because Mexico City chucked it for 300 yards, but they also threw 4 picks. And so it's just interesting to see how these two teams amass their yards and how, cautious and how San Antonio protected the ball. You would just think with the kind of protection they had and the turnovers, 1 turnover, you would think that, it shouldn't have even gotten to an overtime.
no, I got you, but San Antonio had issues stopping Moxon because it seemed like every time they got a grasp of what Mexico City was doing, they stopped Ray on first and then second. They were in perfect position to force a punt, and then you just see Ryan Moxon flying down the seam for a 30-yard gain. And it was just wow. But like I said, they go to Mexico City. Y'all are 2-0. You know what I'm saying? Y'all facing Sioux Falls this week. It's gonna be interesting to watch. I believe me, I got my popcorn ready, trying to see what Ramos got planned. And yeah, so we'll get into those matchups a little later. Let's move on to the next recap. We had a game of the week, the battle for Texas. Well, now it's 3 teams there, so it's kind of a third of the battle for Texas. We had Dallas against Houston, where Houston edged Dallas to the tune of 17-12. That game was a defensive slugfest. Both teams didn't want to relent, didn't want to give up big plays. And it was, it's basically Houston just outlasted Dallas in this one. Man, Dallas's defense is nothing to laugh at. I know I played in week 1 and it was a pain to try to move the ball against them. If you're looking at the box score, Houston looks like they had, and then looking at the game itself as well, try to remember what happened there. Houston had issues moving the rock as, to kind of get their, get going.
Yeah.
And Cody Cantrell has first turnovers of the season against Dallas. So the Dallas defense came ready to play.
I think it's interesting to note. I mean, the thing that Dallas is trying to do with Shabazz synergy, it makes me wonder, because they're running the ball with Shabazz quite a bit. And so I'm just, if they lose him in one game, like it's going to be a nightmare.
That thing's going to turn sideways in a hurry in that game. If that's the case. But, he's kind of built like Cam Newton. I think he's like 6'6", 260, something ridiculous. So he's a building on legs. So I mean, I guess he's kind of robust in that way. But Dallas was moving the ball from 20-20. They could. It's like there was a force field inside that 20 that they just couldn't penetrate, score a touchdown, and
I wonder how Houston feels about William Choice only grabbing 34 yards on 15 carries. Like I wonder if they're gonna go back and say like, hey, was that by design? I'd imagine you'd want more than 2.3 yards per carry, but was he just not built into the playbook this week? Did they think they were going to have to shoot it out? Yeah, it'd be interesting to hear, the thought process and what they were going to, what they're going to try to do to get William Choice going next week. Or this week.
Yeah, well, it's not that there wasn't an effort to get him the ball per se. But it felt like every time he got the ball, he was running, against 30 to 40 defenders. So instead of going that way, they try to rely on Cody Cantrell to kind of carry them as like he did week 1, because week 1 he looked darn good as well.
Right. Yeah, even when we played in preseason, Choice chewed up a lot of yards there too. So, but that was base playbook, so maybe it was just a little different, but.
Yeah, so Dallas is 0-2. I have no doubt in my mind that Stephen Molinar's gonna he's gonna rectify that ship, and uh, get back to his winning ways. It's just gonna take a little while longer because his build is very unique
We
with
do
no
have a
running
lot
back,
of unique
3
builds.
receivers, and 2 10. This season,
Yeah.
I know, right? This is
Yeah, and
to
so
me,
it's
this is
creating
great.
a lot of interesting results. But yeah, like what we're doing in St. Louis is definitely unique. So far, hasn't worked. Dallas not going with a running back, like that's unique, and then Cleveland's build. It's just a lot of interesting stuff this year. So it's going to be a very competitive season, I think, more so than last year.
And in the rivalry games,
What a game. The Baltimore Carolina game. Holy moly.
in rivalry games. I know it sounds like, what are you trying? Are you trying to rhyme? Are you a rapper? No, not right now.
The
This
way
game
that,
here,
yeah, wow. It was probably the best game of the week, in my opinion.
the Baltimore Crabs edged the Carolina Skyhawks 34-31 to give Baltimore their first win of this season. And man, that game was great though.
It was amazing.
It was back and forth. Late in the game, Carolina looked like they had control, and then they fell asleep and let a receiver get behind the defense, which is a no-no, because in defensive terms, you gotta stay deeper than the deepest. All our ex-DBs in the SFL, y'all know what I'm talking about. Stay deeper than the deepest. Well, that Carolina defender, he went deeper, and that hurt them. That came back to hurt them big time in that one. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, this game was just a beautiful game by both teams. I mean, defensively, you'd like to see a little more performance out of their defenses, but I mean, neither team turned the ball over. Both teams put up a ton of yards. It was amazing to watch. It was just really clean. And, Baltimore was so close to being 0-2, and Carolina was so close to not being 0-2. And it's just both of these teams played super well. And out of all the teams that are winless in our division, like Carolina looks so good. Like both weeks they played well. So amazing game. One of the best games. I love close games.
I'm going to share this. I won't say who and I won't say what. But after that game, Carolina staff reached out to me and asked me a question, and I hope I was able to help them out. And I can't wait to see how they implement what I was able to share with them this upcoming week. Because if they implement what I was able to share, this week's opponent's in trouble. That's all I got to say. I won't go any further into detail. I'm not going to reveal secrets. I'm just saying, people in the know. I got insider information. That's what I'm saying. Watch Carolina this week. Watch them.
I mean, they've been playing really well all year. Like they're not an 0-2 kind of team. Like this is a team that is definitely playing well despite their record. So.
And in the last game to recap for week 2, the Tallahassee Pride. I don't know if they got the sour taste from that playoff loss out their mouth from last season against Queen City.
I think that
with a game plan to no, if y'all gonna beat us, y'all ain't gonna beat us running rock. Yeah. Y'all ain't gonna pound the ball up. No, y'all ain't running for 300 this game. AJ Caswell, the ball's in your hand, young man. If we're gonna lose, we're gonna lose because you throwing touchdown.
And I think
he failed to deliver.
You got to give hats off to Frank. I mean, a lot of Tallahassee's success last year, a lot of people attributed that to T-Pat. But here Tallahassee is, and they don't have T-Pat now, but they're still doing the Tallahassee thing. They're still scoring points. They're still playing great defense. So, hats off to Frank as he continues to keep chugging along despite losing one of the league's best coaches.
Pretty boy Frank dropped a vid late last week. We saw him sipping tea. Apparently he was chilling. He was like, he was like on the beach with his feet up, sipping tea like, hey, we did what we had to do. We put our pants on one leg at a time, like Lou Holt used to say. And we just gonna let the chips fall where they may. Well, pretty boy Frank, I seen what you did. Your game plan, sir, worked, and I congratulate you. Looking good. You looking darn good, my good sir. And Queen City, listen, Eric Barkley got more rings than the rest of the league combined. So we know he knows what he's doing. I have no worries that he's gonna make the adjustments necessary, and whatever next opponent believes they could recreate what what Tallahassee did against them. You have another thing coming. So I'm just giving y'all that heads up right now.
I think this is like typical. This is typical Queen City fashion. I mean, last year they had a rocky season as well. Like they lost some games that they probably shouldn't have lost. But I mean, this is kind of Queen City's MO. They lose a couple games here and there, and then they just go beast mode in the playoffs. So like, I don't really put a lot of stock into this game except for the fact that Tallahassee looks amazing, but I think Queen City will rebound.
Yeah, they came ready to play. Okay, because like I said, that playoff exit last season did not sit well with them, and because of that, they came prepared. So, okay, that was the recap of last week's game. We're gonna get into the power rankings a little bit. The people have voted. We have number 16 through number 1. I will say this much: this week I did not have St. Louis at 16. I had him at 14 because again, James, I told you, y'all looked way better than y'all did that first week. And I see the improvement. In my power rankings, I had Vancouver last. Week 1, the Aztecs came to play, and it didn't look good for Vancouver. Week 2, I understand they lost their bell cow, but again, they didn't look too hot. And to me, they have looked worst SFL team this season, and that's why I had them 16. And then I had Cleveland after them, and then I had y'all at 14 because y'all look improved. I see improvement, and if you stack improvement on improvement on improvement, eventually the changes will show. The W's will come. So
I hope
that's how I was looking at it. So
I hope so.
but I am but one man. I am not the populace. The populace voted and averaged out that St. Louis was number 16 for the second week in a row. Next week, y'all got Atlanta. I hope you did your due diligence and are prepared to face.
Yeah, so I watched both of Atlanta's games this week, and then I did probably 20 simulations on my own. Those 11-minute sims, like I probably did 20 of those, testing out the different plays and messing with the playbook. And we stayed in the playbook till right at the end of close of business on Wednesday, just tweaking it. So I think we've made enough changes to keep up with Atlanta, but it'll be tough. It'll all depend on how our generic receivers play. It'll all depend on how the computer calls the plays. But I think defensively we'll be much better. I think we match up better with Atlanta than we did with the 2 run heavy teams in Chicago and Queen City. So it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what Atlanta does to try to take advantage of us, and it'll be interesting to see what we do to take advantage of them.
The number 15 team in the power rankings is the Vancouver Legion. Again, as I already explained my position as to they kind of earned this spot for me. That's what the populace voted them as number 15. Number 14 is the Cleveland Stallions. They're in the same spot as they were last week.
I think Cleveland, they get the bump because they put up a lot of points, but I actually think it would go St. Louis, Cleveland, then Vancouver, because I think Andy's build's a little more diversified than Cleveland's. Like with Cleveland, they're throwing the ball like 100%. That's what they're gonna do. And with St. Louis, we want to run the ball. That's what we want to do. And so if you stop what we're trying to do, your odds are looking fairly good. At least Vancouver can mix it up, So that's why I have them flipped there. But yeah, the bottom 3 teams, we all got our work cut out for us. So
fair enough. At number 13, We have the San Antonio. Say it for me, James.
The Vaqueros.
You gotta roll out. Gotta roll that R. The Vaqueros, who last week they looked good. They came a hair away from pulling out that W. You know, this week they got to face an old friend. So we'll see how that goes down. That's going to be interesting to watch. Number 12. This is
shocking.
I'm not used to seeing Dallas in double digits. Are these rankings right?
Yeah.
Did the site calculate these properly? Okay, we have the Dallas Roughnecks at 12. It just doesn't sound right. I can't even say it properly. We have the Dallas Roughnecks at 12 this week. Yeah,
they don't have a star running back, do they?
No, they don't.
Yeah. So
their star running back is that 6'6", a million-pound quarterback. That building they got thrown a rock.
Yeah,
Synergy.
And that's it. It's so rough. Like I was talking, like Cleveland's build is so one-dimensional. But when you don't have a running back to at least throw to the flats, like it's really easy to sit back in zone. And I think that's the struggles that Dallas is having right now. Is that your quarterback's great, but it's hard to throw between, 8 dudes dropping back in pass coverage. So,
yeah, but they're very multiple. Because of that 2 tight, 3 wide, they could basically come on any set, and you have to respect everybody on the field besides the guys in the backfield. So it's not like you can, we'll play cover 2 hard this one, and no, you do that, it's a touchdown.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you definitely can't play cover 2 against them.
So it's one of those. Just like last week, they were moving the ball from 20 to 20 like it was nothing.
Yeah.
Synergy had 350 yards throwing. It's just when they get inside that 20, can they, be imaginative enough, creative enough on offense to find a way to get the ball into the end zone?
Right.
Because that's the issue they're going to run into. The most dangerous 0-2 team in the league is the Carolina Skyhawks. They're down 1 spot from last week after that overtime loss to Baltimore. And great game. They were this close to pulling it out. So in a row, they're inches away from victory. They face Cleveland this week. If they listen to me, Cleveland's in trouble. Mike Quavy might be running for his life that whole game. I'm just giving everybody a heads up. So that's what's going on there.
Yeah, I think they match up really well with the top teams in our conference. So I wouldn't be surprised if they find a way to get into the playoffs. Like it wouldn't shock me one bit to see them squeak in.
At number 10, that's the former home team. Without them, I'm not in the league. We got the Baltimore Crabs.
Same.
They're which is weird. They're down a spot after winning a game. These power rankings, it's crazy business, folks. Crazy business. So
I just think it's the fashion and how they won the game. It was, yeah.
But hey, that first win of the season, you'll always take a W over a power ranking.
Amen.
So next week they got to face Eric Barkley. After Eric does all the adjustments, to kind of make up for last week's non-showing. So hopefully TJ and the rest of the Crab squad, gets their P's and Q's in order and ready for whatever Queen City is about to throw at them. Because Eric's not going down. That ship ain't going down without a fight.
Right.
The cannons will be firing. The cannons will be firing. I'm just saying. At number 9.
I think this is a little low. I think this is a little low for your team, to be honest.
I think it's a little high. We should be 17. I'll leave that one alone. At number 9, we got the Alaska Storm with a T. Yes. That loss, that 21 unanswered, biggest comeback in league history. Yeah.
I think you've got to feel good about being up that many points, though. In fairness, like, yeah, you did.
Listen,
it fell apart, but like you guys were in control for most of that game.
this is the funny part about my defense is doing exactly what I wanted to do. Like, it's the offense I can't get a beat on. And the thing to this is that I got an OC to help me. And we both get looking there puzzled. Like, he texted me midway through the game last week, like, dude, what's up with these interceptions? Like, I don't know. You pick the plays. So that's what's going on in Alaska. It's for a behind the scenes look. So, we play Vancouver this week. We tried to make sure that what we do best, hit the things that we're not good at, got rid of the things we're horrible at. And, we come out of there with a W because, going on the road and winning is tough in the SFL, as we all know.
Yeah, I think Cam said it was something like 54% of the home teams win. So you've got that extra 4% against you. So not easy to win on the road, folks.
At number 7, we got the defending champion.
Skipped 8. We skipped 8.
We skipped 8. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to disrespect. My bad. I clicked the wrong one. At number 8, the team that went and got the largest comeback in the regular season in SFL history, Sparrows. Getting that first dub, that big dub. Another tidbit about the game, our Bills are ridiculously similar. 3 wide, 1 goal back, silver quarterback. On defense, I believe we both got the same number of DBs, just my DBs are in a different spot than theirs. And I run the defensive lineman as opposed to 3 linebackers. But offensively, we basically have the same exact build on offense. Defensively, there's a switch here or there. So, but hey, down 21, and it's like, oh, guys, let's go ahead and start winning. And to pull out that W, big up to Sioux Falls. Now they got to go to Red Hot. I believe they go to Red Hot, Mexico City. Having to face Ramos and that high-powered offense. That's going to be a sight to behold. Can't wait to see what happens there. Now, number 7, the defending champion, coming off that big-time loss to Tallahassee, down 6 spots from last week, is the Queen City Corsairs.
Yeah, I think everybody's just kind of like, they saw what they did to us, us being St. Louis week 1, and then it was just such a drastic change from what happened week 1 to week 2. So I see the slide, but I still think Queen City is like in the top, at least top 4 for me.
Oh yeah, Queen City is gonna stay a problem because they just their staff knows what they're doing, and they always get hot in the second half of the season. So, this is like I was telling folk after last week's. I think my quarterback just threw another interception. It's a long season. This is week 3. 2 is not the death of you. As Mexico City, I believe they were 0-5 last year, and they found a way to get in the playoffs. So it's a long season.
You hear that, St. Louis fans? You hear that? There's still a chance, baby.
There's still a chance, baby.
Don't stop believing.
So just do your homework, keep your nose to the grindstone, and keep your playbook to what fits your build best, and good things are in store. I have no worries there because hard work is rewarded in that fashion. Number 6. Wow. I had them number 3 on my power ranking. Number 6. Wow.
Yeah, I would probably swap Chicago and Atlanta. Like, I think Atlanta's good, but I think just Chicago, Houston, Oklahoma City, Mexico City, because like all from like 2 to 6, there's like you could really just put them anywhere. But I don't know. Chicago's a pretty balanced team, and they look really good defensively, offensively. It's all
well-rounded.
Yeah,
they're well-balanced. At number 6, the Chicago Wildcats, the undefeated, at number 6, and they've looked good. So These are Mighty East power ranking. This is the SFL, as your brethren have voted you. So it's number 6. But at number 5, at 2-0, the doctor is looking right. Yeah, you like how I did that?
I liked it. I liked it a whole lot.
The Hyenas are looking good. Woke up last week and like, hey, I'm gonna go too. I'm supposed to be a playmaker. and he went about thumping Synergy upside his head. I think he got him for 2.5 sacks. He had 4 tackles for loss. It was some bananas. And every time they tried to run that sneak, it was Kit Moore just thumping Synergy. So Houston, this week there's an old friend coming to visit. What are they gonna have a soft spot for Corky? I highly doubt DR would. He's not that type. I love you like a brother, but I'm gonna beat you down like a brother too. So so San Antonio that against Houston this week, that's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, I definitely think Houston's just it's a solid team. Every year they put on a good show, and so I like I said, I think they could be swapped anywhere in the top 6. To be honest, like all these teams 2 to 6 can be moved around. I think
the Oklahoma City Renegade, Papa Irvine got these boys looking right. That defense with Billy Joel,
fierce,
and offensively, Red Feather is looking like a new man.
Yeah, Cam posted in the chat, in the first 2 weeks, Red Feather has only missed 8 passes in a pass-heavy team.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's well over 60 passes, and he's only missed 8 of them. Like, holy cow.
And then Brewski does what Brewski does. He's been running since before the first marathon. Pre BC. He's still running now. I think last week, we might have seen a glimpse into him slowing down. He finally got hurt, or maybe not. But they look good. And this week, that defense, the guy is gonna go face that building that plays quarterback for Dallas in Synergy. That's gonna be a ball game. I can't wait to see what that looks like.
Yeah, that's gonna be a tough game for both teams. I think both teams bring such a different element to the game, so it'll be interesting.
At number 3, we got the Swarm.
ATL, baby.
They be buzzing. There's a buzz in the ATL right now. The 2-0 Swarm coming off that 31-point win. You hear that? 30. What? My team struggles to score 31 in a game.
Right.
They won by 31. It's crazy.
Yeah, like I was saying, the matchups. I mean, BDG Hollywood, like, get out of here! Like, he just went off, and that's not what he normally does. And so, anytime you get that production out of, that style of running back, like, it's just looking great for you. So we'll see how they do this week.
Yeah, they face a team you might know something about, St. Louis. So hopefully you did your homework and we'll see where the chips fall tomorrow. At number 2, up 2 spots, Red Hot, Aztecas, right? They're playing Studio Aztecas, the Mexico City Aztecs. They said regular time, overtime, extra time, ain't no time. We undefeated. That's all that matters. So Ramos, Ray Bentley, just putting his shoulder down, just get out the way.
I think this is a little.
Defenders don't want to get in the way. But anyways, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think this is a little high for Mexico City, to be honest. I think the other 6 teams have performed more consistently than Mexico City, because obviously it took overtime to win that game. And in San Antonio, in fairness, is not a bad team either. So, I just think it's a little high. Number 2 is a little high for me.
It is, but then again, it's not, because they are on D, and they've looked good. The first game they looked real good. This game here was a back and forth battle, and and they were able to outlast San Antonio. So, I might not agree, but I understand.
Yeah, same.
And number one, up one from last week. The tea sipping.
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if there's one person out of the all SFL that said, I'm not going to put Tallahassee number one. I wonder if anybody did that or if it was just unanimous.
It probably was unanimous.
It should be. It really should be unanimous.
That's the question that's the question to ask. Was it unanimous this week? Anyway, the Tallahassee Pride.
Mm-hmm.
Number one. The number one team in the power ranking. After edging Queen City, 2-0. Pretty boy Frank got these boys looking fierce. Chicago, it's the battle of the big cats this week. Chi-Town, Tallahassee.
I think, I believe that Shan is a great coach. So I think he's going to look at what happened to Queen City. He's going to adjust. I think Frank's going to have his hands full. But if you are Chicago and you watch that Queen City game, you have to be a little concerned because Chicago likes to do what Queen City does. They like to run the ball and throw the ball. So, Queen City's run game got blown out. And so you just have to be concerned that gold inside linebacker for Tallahassee, he's putting in work and he's going to keep putting in work. So scary.
Yeah, scary. I got the schedule up for this upcoming week. Hold on one second. Let me get rid of last week's scores and I highlight. Yeah, I highlighted. I don't know if you were looking at the YouTube broadcast or not. You know what? I'll do one better. Hey, there we go. Alrighty. So we have the games for this week. Atlanta heads to St. Louis, as you already know. Mm-hmm. OKC heads to Dallas, trying to keep that 2-0 start. Trying to remain unblemished there. Sioux Falls goes to Mexico City, sees if they could knock the Aztecs off the rank of the unbeaten. You got the most dangerous 0-2 team in the league headed to Cleveland. Hopefully they listen to my advice and implement some things to, kind of take advantage of some things that Cleveland might show. You got Alaska trying to bounce back against the Vancouver Legion, who are looking for their first win at their home opener. You got the Baltimore Crabs headed to Queen City, battle of, oh, by the way, the 500th game in SFL history, Sunday night, play-by-play by ours. Can I say ours truly? Ours truly? No, can't say ours truly because then it sounds like I'm talking about myself. We're talking about Cam, folk. Cam is going to be commenting the game. Be there. Don't be square. Yeah, because that's not a good shape for a human being to be in anyway. Square, that's weird.
Hats off, by the way. Yeah, hats off to the league, by the way. Like, there hasn't been and there won't be a more consistent league than the SFL. So, like, everybody clap your hands because 500 games, that's a huge achievement. I give a lot of props to the president, the commissioner, everybody who puts in work behind the scenes for the SFL to make it to 500 games and to be as consistent as we have as a league is phenomenal. So hopefully everybody tunes in and celebrates this historic game with all of us because 500, amazing. We're going to go for, 5,000 more. So, just hats off to the league.
So game number 500, right my way. That's how they talk. Don't judge me.
I'm not.
Game number 500. The Crabs visit the Corsairs. Which one of them can tack on another W? That's going to be nice to watch. Monday night at the Lions Den. Battle for supremacy in the East between the big cats. Wildcats. Pride. Woo! Tuesday night. Battle.
Shan said in the chat he's going to run away from the gold linebacker, and he hopes it works.
The battlefield takes ass. The former friends now turn foes. Bitter enemies. Okay, maybe not bitter enemy.
I
I pushed a little too far. I'm sorry.
this game may be one of the best games this week. I think it's got a lot of potential because I think San Antonio is better than their record. I think Houston, they're looking really good. So it'll be interesting to see, I think.
So the Vaqueros, no, I did it wrong. I'm sorry. The Vaqueros, there you go. The Vaqueros are headed to Houston.
We need to get a pronunciation.
Hey, can I get some Hispanic folk to jump in here? My Spanish, my Latin people, can y'all help me with the pronunciation?
Siri, anybody? Google, somebody, help us.
Google, what's her name? Cortana, help your boy out. I'm struggling. Of all these matchups, Mr. Richards, which one seems the most intriguing that doesn't pertain to this?
Let's see. There's two that really stick out to me. I think it'll be interesting to see Dallas against Oklahoma City, and it'll also it's the 0-2s versus the 2-0s, and then also San Antonio and Houston. I just want to see if these 2-0s are going to continue to be consistent, and I want to see if these 2-0-2 teams can really turn it around. So those are my games that I'm really going to have an eye on. So
the main game I'm going to watch is that Sioux Falls and Mexico City, because I know Jason and AJ got a plan in place to make Matt Wilson and Ray Bentley in that offense, struggle. How that plan develops, and if it's successful, that's one reason. That's one game I want. The other game I'm keeping my eye on is Carolina and Cleveland. Mm-hmm. Now you're like, why are you watching two teams that are unvictorious? I'm like, because Carolina, that's something up their sleeve. And if they could just get consistency, because in games you see the spurts. They have spurts of, they're like, whoa, they look good, and then they're like, oh, not so much, and then they look good, and if they could get some consistency going, and then at the same time you got Mac Wavy with the a plethora of offensive weapons. Can he finally take full advantage of them for an entire game? That's gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah, I agree.
But the only bad thing about that one, it's one of those, it's concurrent, because it's gonna be running at the same time as my game gonna be running on, so it's gonna be tough to watch both.
Double screen.
Give both the attention, the attention they deserve. But Carolina, y'all got a fan in the West, Northwest. Y'all got a fan. Just saying. So
you got a fan in the East too. I'm a big fan as well.
Can't be too much of a fan. You're on the same conference.
No. I want to beat them, but I still like them a lot.
Oh, okay. I like you, sir, but don't mind if I beat your head. It's weird what you got going on, James. It's weird. And then we already got the primetime games. Come on, everybody and their mama gonna be watching it. Everybody and their mama. I got my wife watching this. She's probably not gonna watch these because she's gonna be in Nicaragua for a mission trip. But when she comes back, the primetime game, she's usually right next to me talking about, why are you watching video game football? What's the difference? Real football, you don't have no say. This one I actually do. That's my plays being run for interceptions, for touchdowns the other way.
You're a funny man.
Well, I don't know if that's a compliment or an insult. I will take it though.
You're a glass half full kind of guy. I like it.
So, with all that being said, Mr. Richards, is there anything you'd like to add?
I think we've covered it. I think this is probably one of the more thorough podcasts we've had. I like it.
Even after all the hiccups. It took us a minute to get this shuttle off the ground. My goodness.
I blame Google Hangouts. That was not the simplest operation that it could have been.
Oh man. I concur with that one. Do you have what I have for you, James?
Yes, let's hear it.
I'm gonna give you a second.
Mm-hmm.
What's your final thought heading into week 3?
I think this will be the week that the 2-0s show if they're real, and this will be the week that the 0-2s need to step up. If they're gonna turn it around, they've got to do something. So it's a big week for the 2-0s. and a big week for the 0-2s. So
I'll say this. Dallas, this might be the week that Dallas begins to turn things around. Between Carolina and Cleveland, one of them is finally going to get that first W. And sometimes just getting that first one, kind of you're able to take a step back, take a breath, and be like, okay, let's build on what helped us get there, and hit the, you know what I'm saying, kind of hit the ground running. Squads. Game is big. Now, understand we already touched upon like the fact that Mexico City was 0-1 came back and made a playoff. So that's possible. But why put yourself in such a hole to have to work that kind of hard to have to work that hard
and putting your faith in other teams' hands too. Like you just,
you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that's the worst. Like you're sitting on the outside, and like, okay, I need this team to win by 15, and that one to tie. And I need that one to make sure that they kiss their wife on the way out the door so I can get it. Like, it's crazy. Madness.
Mm-hmm.
No. So at the season, it's about to run out. You're in position to make a move. Just saying. You don't want to have to swim upstream. It's too difficult.
Yes, sir.
Anyways, on that note, James, thank you for being my co-host today.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having the patience to get this show going. Oh, you peeps out there, thank you for listening. Thank you for just putting up with my foolishness, not James. James is a straight guy. Foolishness. Appreciate y'all very much. Andy should be back next week, and we'll get into this after a week of action. The 500th game. That's not even English. Sunday night, Baltimore, Queen City. Be there. Tomorrow we've got a full day slate of games. Tweet it out, Instagram it out, Facebook it out. Is LinkedIn still a thing? Link it out.
Yep.
YouTube it out. Whatever it out you do, it out it. Let's pack this thing out. Y'all know what it is. Y'all know what we do. And on that note,
yep.
See y'all tomorrow.
See you guys.
Mañana in Mexico time.
Hasta luego.